What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with ActuallyAdditions. Today, guys, we are going to be working on upgrading our canola power generation from tier 1, which of course is what you're starting with, to tier 2, which is a pretty solid mid-game power generation setup. Now, the reason we're going to be doing this today is because I mainly want even more power. Yes, I know we've set up a lot of power generation recently, but I want even more power so we can crank up the lens of the miner over there, which actually isn't even running right now, just because I'm curious to see how fast we can get it going. But I also want to set this up because it's very simple to set up and very easy to do, at least from tier 1 to tier 2. Tier 2 to tier 3 will be another story. That one's a little bit more complex, takes up a little bit more space, but for now we're sticking with 1 to 2, which is very, very simple and very cheap to do. So I definitely think it's worthwhile, pretty much the second you have all the resources to do it. So, I've already said multiple times that it's very, very simple to do and very cheap. I didn't even have to go out and do more resource gathering, just because it actually doesn't require much. The setup is essentially going to be divided into two parts: the portion that is going to turn your canola seeds into crystallized canola seeds, and then the portion that's going to throw them in the water and pull out the crystallized canola oil. So this setup is even easier if you have other mods to work with. Now, I'm not going to go over how to actually set that up, but it makes it a lot easier in terms of setting up the timers for it and also determining when you can pick up and put down the oil. So if you're playing in a mod pack, this is very, very easy to do. And, if you're doing it with just ActuallyAdditions like I am, it's not too bad either. So to start things out, we are going to be crafting an atomic reconstructor. Yes, we already have one, but we're going to be making another one just because I don't really feel like having to deal with going and putting stuff over there whenever I want to convert it. So making another one of those. We are going to have a pressure plate for this. So we're going to have a wooden one. And then we are going to need to make 2 precision droppers. So grab out all the stuff for that. Again, still relatively cheap, so automatic precision dropper right there. So we've got those two. The next thing we're going to be doing is making a fluid placer and fluid collector. So of course this is going to be for putting down the oil we have right now and then picking up the crystallized canola oil. So that is just going to be an auto breaker with 2 buckets and an auto placer with 2 buckets. Now the next thing we're going to make are 2 phantom redstone faces. Now this is one portion that having other mods will help get rid of, just because we need to set up kind of a timer, and the way we're going to be doing this is actually using the hopper clock that we've got going on over there. That'll make it a little bit easier, just save some resources, since using the phantom redstone faces we can pretty much wirelessly utilize one we're already utilizing. So let's get this in there. Phantom redstone faces, of course, if you have not worked with these before, you need the phantom connector if you're going to hook them up to whatever redstone block you want them to work with, and they have a max range of 16. So we are going to be setting this up relatively close to those. The next thing is going to be a ranged collector. And I'm going to grab all this stuff out. We've got some miscellaneous things, such as another hopper and an item interface. I don't know if we actually need to use the item interface, because the one downside of the ranged collector is that it does not automatically output items. So I believe a regular hopper should allow us to pull stuff out the bottom and put it into the system. But if we can't and we need to use a hopping item interface, that's fine too. That's why I have one of these, but I guess only time will tell. So we're going to make the ranged collector. Now we do need to worry about the fact that this has a range of 6. There are a couple different ways to set this up, but by putting this at least 6 blocks away from where the item will be dropped when it's trying to convert the different oils, we're not going to have to use another phantom redstone face. So saves us in that department, but it makes the setup a little bit bigger. So hopefully you guys will see what I'm talking about in a second. Now I think we're going to set it up right over here. And to go over the general idea of the setup, which I kind of briefly touched on, we are going to be using the canola seeds that we have an overflow of in our system to pretty much convert them to, let me see if I can find them in here really quick, to the crystallized canola seeds. Now tier 2 to tier 3 would be empowered canola seeds, but we're going to use the crystallized canola seeds, and they essentially get thrown in to the oil that we are having in these fermenting barrels right here, and then it's going to turn into crystallized canola oil, which will generate more power when put into the oil generator. So we're going to do some movement over here and kind of finagle with those things, but we'll worry about that once we have the rest of this already set up. So first things first, we're going to set up the first chunk of this, which is going to be the atomic reconstructor. And it's occurring to me right now that I should probably have some glass. You don't really need glass, but I'm just going to put it down to prevent me from walking over a bunch of this stuff. So main reason I'm setting it up here is, remember, the range is 16 for the redstone faces, so I want to make sure that it is going to work. Is this? Oh, right, this isn't running right now. I turned this off so that this won't run because this is hooked up. But we will be turning that back on, and it needs to have a range of 16 or less. So we're going to put down the atomic reconstructor right here. We're going to put down the glass on all 3 sides of it. Then we're going to go in, put down the wooden pressure plate right in the center. And then we are going to put down the automatic precision dropper on top of it. And yeah, so it does look like we need to actually kind of fiddle around. Let me get some dirt so that we can place this down properly. Now we can dump blocks out pretty much any direction. We want it dropping them straight down. And we're going to mess around with the redstone setup of this a little bit so that we can... Oh yeah, we're going to have to kind of like dig our way out of here. Oh well. There goes that glass block. Okay. So put those back down, wooden pressure plate, and glass. So now, basically what's going to happen is if we were to put an item in here, let's say we put down this piece of dirt, it's going to drop out, and if we were to put more dirt in here, it would not drop out because it's being deactivated by that block down there. It's the same setup if you've ever done Botania, when you're, trying to drop coal for the endo flames, where you only want one to sit there. We don't want a ton piling up there. We only want one dropping at a time in case there's an overflow or something. So, things aren't despawning constantly and we're wasting a ton of either seeds or power. So it's going to deactivate that. And then this one we want to set on pulse. So what's going to happen then is when the block drops, it's going to trigger, and this will only fire when there's a block down here. Now we can't pick it up by walking in there. We want to set that to deactivation. But I prefer to have these here just so I'm not, always walking there. You have to walk pretty close to pick it up. So might want to avoid that a little bit. But if you really are worried that you're going to pick stuff up, you can just put more glass around this. Now, that part is pretty much done. To get the blocks out of there, we don't actually need to use like a hopper or something. You could use an item vacuum and place it directly below the pressure plate. That would be a lot easier because those should auto output stuff if you're playing in a mod pack. But right now, we're going to use the range collector. And like I said, we need to make sure it's at least 6 blocks away. So I'm going to place this down once we have the other portion of the setup done. Chances are it's going to go in place of this glass block right here. And we'll come over here and start putting down the rest of the stuff. So it needs to be 6 blocks away from the automatic precision dropper at this portion. So let's see, that would be, it has a range of 6. So let me just look at this item description real quick. An area of 6 blocks around it. So I'm going to assume that's a radius of 6. I'm actually not positive, so we're going to go with a radius of 6 and assume that that's going to work. So if we put it down there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, meaning it has to be over here. So that's actually pretty close to this setup. So what I might do is move it over 1 and just not replace that glass block. That's perfectly fine. So we'll put the automatic precision dropper right here, and this one's going to be facing up because this is going to be throwing whatever, canola seed you're using. In this case, it's the crystallized one, into your oil. Now the next portion is going to be the fluid placer and collector. One is going to go on one side, the other is going to go on the other. They could be on pretty much any side of this, it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to put it like this just so it's easier to visualize. So we've got those set up. And now this one right here is going to have the regular oil put into it. We'll use the liquid laser relays in a bit to do that. But what we're going to do is come down here now and replace this block right between the fluid placer and precision dropper with one of our phantom redstone faces, because we want to have these fire at the same exact time, one placing down the oil, the other one throwing the canola seed into it. Then you could have 2 phantom redstone faces, but this will just save us, resources in the long run. And then the next one is going to go right over here, and that's going to fire on the other portion of the hopper timer, and that's going to pick up the fluid. So it might get a little bit weird when you first start out, just because you might try and pick up fluid before you have any down, but that's not really going to be an issue. So once that settles in, basically meaning if this one fires first and then this one, nothing bad's going to happen. And once you actually have fluid in here, it'll guarantee that it'll only pick up that kind of fluid. So once that's in there, you don't really have to worry. So we need to get our phantom connector right here, and we're going to come over and we'll click this one onto this. And then I guess we kind of do need to put items back in here. So let me see. Actually, I don't think we can access this air block. What we might be able to do is this right here. So I think we can get this, hook it up over here. And it's saying a dirt block now, but if we break this, it should stay on that block. Well, that's not good. Okay. Here. Oh, it's because it picked it up. That's phenomenal. Okay. Stop. Is everything stopped? Okay. Don't panic. I was wondering why that happened. That was a little bit odd. So this is connected to a block of redstone. So that worked. I did not realize that it was going to fall straight into the hopper for some reason and start making this fire repeatedly. That used up a significant chunk of power from over here, but no problem. We fixed it. Momentary panic. So what we're going to do now is take these glass blocks and put them down on each side of this. And for the most part, that should be good with the setup. A lot of the rest of this is just wiring stuff and connecting inventories. So what we can do now first is come over here, and right now I believe it should be on one of the, it's probably honestly straight below this, so it's probably right down there. So this block right here is connecting to our system over here, and it's dropping the items into it right now. So it's also putting some of them into a chest, the canola seeds over here. So what we should be able to do is break this chest, because we don't need this anymore. The canola seeds are all going to go into the precision dropper with the atomic reconstructor, and I believe this one should be set at a higher priority. If we look, so that's priority 0. I guess it'll just follow the chain then. But yeah, we can also put an item filter on if we really need it. But we'll come over here and put down the item laser relay right on this, and then connect these. So there we go. So I think this should only get the seeds. Shouldn't get anything else. I think this will always have priority. And assuming this might fill up, which is why we might want an item filter on this. Let me see. If we were to make an advanced item laser relay, do we have this stuff to make this right now? Yeah, I think we do. So we could always upgrade this to an advanced item laser relay. I think we'll do that right now. So we're going to need a block of gold, quartz. Gonna have to convert some redstone, and what else was there? Let me see this. And then we need another piece of redstone and another piece of black quartz. Okay, so we just need to convert this redstone here, and we should be good to go. Does this still have a button on it? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we'll convert this really quick and just do this crafting. So the reason that we're doing this is just on the off chance that there's a backup in our system. I want to make sure that we're not going to get things in the item dropper that we don't want. So this will allow us to set a whitelist. I don't think we've ever actually used this before. So we'll get an advanced item laser relay. We could set a priority, but I eventually want to upgrade all of these anyway, so it's not really a big issue. So we'll break that, put down the advanced item laser relay, and if we click on this, it's going to have a whitelist for both outbound and inbound. We only need to worry about inbound, and we're going to set that to canola seeds. So then we can go back and hook this back up to this whole system. We could hook it up to this one. That'll be perfectly fine too. So now it should still only get canola seeds, and we can actually go, because that's a really annoying laser right there. I think I have a couple invisibility modifiers. And we can click that on there and there. Okay, so yeah, you can see canola seeds were coming out, but none of them are going in here, which is good. And we can cover the rest of this up. Now, rewiring power is going to be a pretty big thing too, just because there's a lot of things changing. So we'll have to worry about that in a little bit. But now we've got the canola seeds coming over here. They're going to get dropped. If this had power, it would fire. And the next step is to get stuff picked up. So that is going to be the ranged collector, which of course needs to be 6 blocks away from this right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it could go, it really could go, honestly, I don't actually know the range of this. It's a little bit wonky right now. So I think we're going to put it for the time being right, I want to say right here. That's kind of a weird place to put it. It just seems out of place right here. But eventually I'll figure out the range, whether it's going to be us moving that over one, or, you know, this being shifted up or down or whatever. But I'm going to make sure that this is 6 blocks away. 9 times out of 10, you guys watching this video are never going to have to worry about this, because you can use an item vacuum, whether you can change the range of that, or you don't need to worry about, you know, dealing with the interactions of automatic outputs. For that, you could just put it over here and have it filter through the system. So if you're playing in a mod pack, it'll be a lot easier. You don't have to worry about this, but because I'm not playing in a mod pack, I do have to worry about this. Yay for me. Okay, so the next thing is going to be using the hopper, and we're going to have to come below this because this does not automatically output, which is a huge annoying thing. We're going to put down the hopper, and I believe this should be able to pump it into an item laser relay, but I'm not sure. That's why we might need the hopping item interface, so we will see about that. But we are going, oh, not connect these. We are going to connect this one down here. So we need to come right down there and laser wrench that to that. So luckily we won't have to actually see that. And I'm not actually going to cover it up just yet because I'm not sure if this works. Let's check. It looks like it should be working. So does this have dirt in it? No. Okay, it's not. So it's only going in the hopper. It's not pushing into that. So we do need to upgrade this to a hopping item interface. So we will break this. And, ooh, lucky for us, we don't need to replace down the item laser relay. So we'll change this. That should pull it and output into there. And then that should automatically push it into this system. So I think if we were to put dirt in there now. Yep, so it's coming out here. That's great. And that needs to be put on pulse. Nope, that was a shift right click. That needs to be put on pulse. So that needs to be put on pulse. This needs to be put on pulse. And so does this. So I actually think this should be pretty much good to go right now, other than having the fluid and energy conduits set up. So we can start covering some of this stuff up down here. And yeah, so we can start hooking up the rest of this stuff. So we need to convert some of these energy laser relays eventually. But for now, we'll put these on just to see how many we're working with. So the only things that need power will be the atomic reconstructor. Neither of the placers need power, neither of the droppers need power. So that's actually it right there. The atomic reconstructor is the only portion of this that needs power. And something that we can do is come over here, and we only need one oil generator. So we can pick up all of these right now. We'll get a bunch of the upgrades back and laser relays. I keep wanting to call them conduits. But we'll get those back, and we only need one oil generator. Oh, this is here from the screenshot from last episode. But we'll put down one of these. It can pretty much go anywhere. It doesn't really matter. So I might put it down right over here just to fill in random space. That's a kind of a weird spot to put it down, but I'm going to put it down right there anyway. And we can put down energy laser relay there, and that can start getting hooked up to stuff. So it'll get hooked up there. And that's really it. So that should actually give this thing power. And I guess since this is on pulse, if we were to... Oh, you know what? I'm realizing right now we need to let one of these get dropped in there and change, because we need to pick it up and we need to whitelist that in here. So now those are the only ones that are going to get picked up, and those should be getting put into the dropper over here. There we go. Okay, so I got a little bit ahead of myself. This is an annoying noise that you will have to listen to if you're having this in your base. If you have a muffler, it helps, but eventually you'll have a backlog and you won't need to worry about it. But for the time being, we are going to have to listen to this for a little bit. I'll take these out for now just so we don't have to hear it all the time. Okay guys, so sorry about that. Someone outside decided to start mowing, and it was very, very loud, so I decided that we'd stop the video for a little bit and wait for them to finish. But I did do a little bit off camera, so I just set up the fluid laser relays. Now this was the last portion, so all I did was connect the fermenting barrels over there together. They should be outputting over here. You can see the fluid placer is full now of the regular oil. Now, I actually don't have this set up to work just yet because this I accidentally set to deactivation. That's why it output. It should not have. It should have been synchronized with one of those seeds, but you can see when it gets dropped in, it changes colors, and now this is the crystallized canola oil. So if this were to fire over here, the fluid collector, it would collect the fluid, and then that is connected with the laser relay over here to this generator, which will finish burning the regular oil it has and then be able to accept that. So what we're going to do is sleep right now, then we should set up the hopper timer to go and let it work for a little bit. So we won't have it work for that long. And I think what I'm going to do is disconnect these over here, or maybe I'll let this fire for a little bit, but I don't know if it's actually getting power. I am going to break this just because I don't want this burning through a ton of power right now. And we're also going to, before we put the hopper timer on, put some of these upgrades on these. So if you don't already know, whenever you upgrade these, they do need to have an upgrade on each one that you're making invisible. So over here, I don't think this one's too bad, but ooh. Does that one already have an upgrade on it? That looks a little bit weird. I guess that one has an upgrade on it or something. But yeah, so now we don't have to see all those connections across our entire base. So we can throw in, I think 46 will be enough. So once that fires, now it fired and it should have been on this side, I believe, to output stuff. And the next time it fires, it should be, ooh, that should have collected it there. Let's let it fire one more time because that should be connected to this. Let me make sure that this is connected properly. Okay, so you can see there that it dropped the item. It doesn't need to do that. This tried to place something, but of course it wouldn't. So this should pick it up when it fires back. So let's wait and see. It is on pulse. Yep, so you can see it collects it there. It would have gone in here, but it's actually coming over here. And now it's going to burn through this. So this is going to generate significantly more power. Let's see if we can actually get the exact numbers. I don't know if the book should show it. I don't know if it shows the exact numbers that it's going to generate. I can't remember the previous ones. I don't believe it says exact numbers. I apologize, I don't actually have them right now, but it gives a significant chunk of power compared to the previous oil generation, and all it is utilizing is stuff that we already have. So eventually you will get a very large backlog of canola seeds, especially once your farm gets upgraded with worms, greenhouse glass, all that. And this is one more portion that needs to get energy to it, so these need to be connected. Forgot about that. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Sorry I was a little bit all over the place. This setup does require kind of going back and forth, just because each section of it needs to get set up separately and then kind of wired together based on the other portions. So like I said, that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.